Hi there. Welcome to The Preventable, the podcast giving you a seat at the table with conversations about the intersection of alcohol, drugs, and mental health in everyday lives. Take a seat and join us.
Welcome to The Preventable. With me today is my friend, who I have not seen in a while, so I'm so excited to be sitting across from you, Erin Bodie. Welcome.
Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I'm so great now that you're here.
Thank you.
So you are a singer, you're a songwriter, you're a traveler, and, you're just pretty much a great human.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say. It's likewise.
And you're a teacher, right? You've taught,
have done some
right?
teaching, yeah. I've done quite a bit of teaching.
So
yeah,
I want to, dive in, and I have so many questions, and before I was preparing for this conversation, I was like, okay, what direction do I want to go? And it's hard for me to pick one, so I'm just going to dive in. Have you always liked singing? Were you one of these people that in, kindergarten talent shows, you were always singing and people were telling you to be quiet? I mean, I know you grew up in church. So has it always been singing for you?
Yeah, it has been. I remember singing from a very early age, and performing was really a passion of mine from 4, very young. And I remember I'm the youngest of 4. And my brother Chris, who's the second child in our family, he was asked to be in, or he auditioned to be in a production of The Christmas Carol. We grew up in Minneapolis, and he was in the production of A Christmas Carol at the Guthrie Theater, which is one of the great theaters in Minneapolis. And I was 3 when he did this, and so I wasn't in school yet. So I would go along to all the rehearsals with my mom when she would take my brother. And I just caught it then.
Caught the bug.
I did. And I remember sitting in the rehearsals just with this kind of burning feeling inside of me, this is what I want to do. And it was everything for me. And it just never stopped after that. I just knew that's what I wanted to do with my life. And so I remember my dad coming home from church. My dad's a Lutheran pastor, and he came home one day, and he asked if I wanted to be in the cherub choir.
Oh.
And I was yes, obviously.
Duh, yes.
And I remember what I was wearing that day. I was sitting on the couch. I was wearing my little patent leather red shoes and tights and a plaid skirt. And that was another day that changed my life. And it was just kind of that way from then on. And our house was attached to our church when I was a kid.
What is that called?
The parsonage.
The parsonage, yes.
Yes. And I used to sneak over to the auditorium. I knew how to turn on all of the audio equipment. I would turn on the microphone, and I would sing to an empty, dark room by myself.
Now, did your parents think you were, crazy?
Yes.
I mean, I know you're not supposed to say crazy. I'm trying to think of the other word. But did they think, who
ambitious.
Is this child?
Yeah,
there we go.
Ambitious was.
Did they ever try to encourage you to do something else?
No, which is...
that's amazing.
I know. And my parents are special people. They're very relaxed, very sweet, but really smart, intelligent people. But all of us, they just kind of waited to see what we were going to do and just encouraged us to do it, which surprises me too, because there was no guarantee with me, having any success.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when people are, I want to be a singer when I grow up, it's okay, what are you really going to do? And you've done it.
Yeah, and I think having their support obviously has meant so much to me. I mean, just they never thought or said or suggested that I couldn't do it, and have always told me they're proud of me. So it's meant a lot to me. And
you grew up in northern Minnesota, right? Or Minnesota,
southern, Twin Cities.
Okay, so you grew up in Minnesota. How did you find your way here? And people often view you as a St. Louis darling in some ways. I mean, I remember your first. I remember listening to you when you sort of first came onto the scene, and I think you even had some songs played on The Point. Did you have songs played on The Point? Am I making this up?
It was a station affiliated with The Point. It was when one of their sister stations called Red. I think it was, yeah.
Yes. Was it 104.1 or something?
I think it
something
was,
like
yeah.
that. Okay.
They had sort of a jazzy big band kind of.
I saw you in the mall.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Wow, so this is going way, way
I
back.
know. I mean, not to be like that person, but like I feel like I've been following you for a long time.
No, this is great. This is I really appreciate this, actually. This takes me way back. Yeah. This is before everything.
Yeah, so you're like in the mall performing, and you sort of become this St. Louis media, I mean, like a darling of St. Louis. And so how did you get here, and like what keeps bringing you back?
Well, my dad, again, because he changed churches. So he came in 1993. We moved here, and
Because the Lutheran Church is pretty big here in St. Louis,
yeah,
right?
It is.
Yeah.
And so he took a church in DePere.
Okay.
So he was at St. Paul's, and but he was only there for 3 years. But it was right at my sophomore year of high school, so it was a big transition for me.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And we were actually talking about it yesterday. He's in town right now. We all came in for Easter to be with my brother, and he just retired, so he can actually travel during Easter, which is a change.
Right.
But so we were talking about it, and I asked him. I said, you were only in St. Louis for 3 years. Does that seem like just sort of a blip in your career? And he said, yeah, I've thought about it before. It's strange to have been in a spot for so little amount of time, he said, but it made such a difference in everyone else's lives in our family. For me, for my mom, because during those years, my grandparents died, her parents died during those years, but we were here with them because they lived here.
Oh.
So for all of the rest of the family, it was a really big deal for us to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I met all the people that I would eventually go to college with, and then from college I would start my own career. So it was important that I went to high school here. And so it's interesting how life leads you to certain places.
Yeah.
And those places are really important, even if they're just brief moments. You just don't know where your path is going to cross the most important.
Well, I mean, speaking of kind of the brief moments, so I don't know if it was for our 40th anniversary or maybe our 35th anniversary as an organization, you were actually hired to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a picture of you on the wall singing, and I think it was at the Sheldon or something like that. And one of the reasons why the administration at that time called on you is because, you're a local celebrity, you're very talented, but then also because you feel very strongly about mental health and making sure that people get what they need and are comfortable asking for what they need. And then we became friends through Kara Friedman, who was at MICDS, and you did a career day for her, right? Mm-hmm. Which is cool that you're mentoring and trying to build this in other kids. And I became a little bit of a fangirl, but also just of you as a person. We bonded over our love of food.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The dinners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then we asked you to kind of take on a special project for us for an event that we had that was also sort of celebrating hope and recovery. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But why mental health for you? Why is that so important to you as an individual?
Well, for me, I think I feel like I have the sort of a privilege, almost a luxury of having a career that allows me to kind of engage in my own therapy every time I do my job.
Isn't that the damn truth?
Yes. People are always using music as therapy. They escape to it, for themselves. And I get to create that when I do my job. And so it doesn't ever really feel like a job. And especially when you write music, you're able to sort of, insert all of the things in your life that you've gone through and that you need to express and that you hope will reach people and that they can relate to and that will help them. And you can say it in all different kinds of ways. You can say it, of course, with the lyrics, obviously. And you can put it in such a way that can reach them gently or that can reach them maybe in a bolder way, just depending on the elements that you use. Like I said, lyrically, but sometimes the music can be either an anthem or it can be a really gentle, kind of just laying it gently at their in front of them.
Yep.
And so there's so many ways of delivery for the messages that you want to convey. And it's just such a beautiful way to go through things with people. And I feel like music is one of the most important forms of therapy. And so I just feel lucky and fortunate that I get to have that in my life. And so I just want to share it with people, you know. And I've always just sort of seen what I do as part of that, that is something that I'm responsible for, you know.
I mean, I have to tell you, so we've had a lot of people in on this podcast who made pretty decent shift or pivot during COVID. And I would say you're a part of that too, where there were things that you had done in the past where because of what was happening in the world, you decided, let's go for it. And so your latest project is exactly what you're just describing, right? Like how to reach people and help them through whatever it is they're going through, either softly or hitting them over the head with a power ballad, you know?
Yeah.
And that's your new project, which is Your Song for Always.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about this.
Yes. Well, and just to kind of sum up a little bit, you know, you're talking about music as you know, a way to serve people's mental health. And I think sometimes we think about mental health as sort of addressing mental health issues, you know, problems.
Right.
But really, in any kind of health, we're trying to prevent issues from happening.
Now you're speaking my love language, Erin. Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, how many times have you gotten into a car and you just had a crappy day? You've turned on the radio and you've either like sang it out or cried it out or, you know, I mean, music is cathartic.
It is.
And you can really prevent a lot of stuff just by like cranking up some music or, you know, just doing some air drums or whatever and moving through it.
Yes. And I think that too that you know, I think we maybe take some of this for granted, that there are things that we probably that don't become pent up inside of us and that don't build up to a problem point because we release it probably through ways of expression like music, or maybe we're really into painting or kickboxing or whatever.
Kickboxing or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever form it comes in for us, we use that.
It's a positive outlet.
Yes.
It's a coping strategy.
Exactly.
Yes.
And those are gifts to us. And so for me, it's music, obviously. But so the project that I started.
And photography. Is that correct?
Photography? I love photography.
You know, when I am looking at your Instagram, I mean, the pictures you take are really beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I actually just bought a real camera.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm going to try to use more than my iPhone.
Oh, got
in
it.
the future.
I don't know.
See.
The iPhones are pretty amazing.
They really are amazing. Actually,
they're pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'm just going to see if I can develop some skills like a actual person.
Cool.
But the project that I have been doing is over the last few years, I had some people give me occasions in their lives where they would like to have a song recorded just for them.
I think this is the most ingenious idea. Yes.
Well, I wish it were mine, because it was a guy named Evan who came up to me after a performance at Jazz at the Bistro, and he was saying that his wife and he were about to celebrate their 10th anniversary, and his idea was to have a song recorded just for her. And that was like, are you serious? You know, it was like, this is the greatest idea ever. And I just thought, everybody should have this. And it just sort of like, over the next few months and year, I started thinking about how this has been sort of the course of human history. If you think about art, that before the turn of the century, the 20th century, when music was not able to be mass produced, people had works of art commissioned: sculpture, painting, architecture, and of course music. And this is how we produced music. And so somebody had the vision and the inspiration and the need to establish their legacy or to leave something behind after they're gone. And so they would find the artist that could create this for them. And then they would come together, and there you had it. You had, Handel's Messiah. I don't know how that came about, but whatever, just for an example.
For example.
The Sistine
Yes,
Chapel.
right.
Okay. And so I thought, every normal person should have access to this kind of thing. And I love the idea of taking people's stories or their need for something to express something and helping them to do that. And there have been so many great stories and situations that I've been able to create a song for. But like one of my favorites was for this guy, Jim, who came to another performance at Jazz at the Bistro, and he came up to me afterwards and he said, I've recently been diagnosed with Huntington's disease, and I just want to be able to say thank you to my wonderful friends and family who have been there for me when they got this devastating news along with me. And it was just such a thrill to be able to tell his story, to say thank you to them. And he's just a really great guy and really enthusiastic, and he loves saxophone. So when he asked if I could put saxophone on it, I'm like, I'm going to do something nice for Jim. And so I asked David Sanborn if he would play on it.
Which, he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and he's from St. Louis. And so I thought, if I'm ever going to ask David Sanborn to do something, I think this is a good reason to do it. And of course, he was super nice and was like, yeah, I'll do that. so we got to make the song and have David Sanborn play on it, and it's just one of my favorite things that we've done. It was just such a thrill and a pleasure, and everybody likes it, and such a great way to say thank you.
It's lovely. So I knew that you had been doing this, and I thought it was brilliant. And we had a yearly remembrance and resource event to honor those people who have lost their lives to heroin, but to also provide kind of hope and healing, right? And to the people who are still here and still fighting, and the family members who are supporting those folks. And we had always done it in person. Obviously, we weren't able to do that in 2020, so we decided to go to a virtual model, but we were missing music. And as you said before, music can really just bring the point home.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to you and I said, here's what we have, here's what we're doing, and I'm really going to leave it up to you. Because you are the artist. I mean, I know the programmatic side, but you know how to tell the story in your words. And so you and a collaborator came up with this song, right? And tell us a little bit about the song, why you chose it. Bill Withers.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yes. Well, this event happened in October. It was the summer before. I had been listening to a lot of Bill Withers because we were in lockdown, and not that that's the only reason I would do it, but I dove deep into a lot of music that summer, and I listened to a lot of songs that I wasn't familiar with from him. And he's a really good one for songs that say familiar concepts or love songs that are said in a really not new, but in a way that you haven't heard them said before. And I thought this one was really special when I heard it, and I sort of put it on a list as something to cover because it was.
I had never heard the song before. I'll be honest with you.
Before I started listening to it that summer. And I think that's probably why it was fresh in my mind when you asked for something. And it kind of went on my mental list as a song that would express love in a different way, in a way that wasn't, baby, you're hot, It's
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Which she's good for, too. And it gives you that, which is awesome. But this one was so much more meaningful, and it could be used in so many different cases and in a different sense. And that's why I liked it so much. And when you needed a song for this purpose, which is so powerful and needing respect and kind of somber, and I just thought of this song that talks about giving love its due, and giving it respect and not abandoning somebody when they need you most, and
that it's not always easy.
Yeah, the difficulty of loving somebody through the things that plague us, and knowing that even when somebody has these issues, they're lovable,
Absolutely.
And that it doesn't matter what somebody has to go through, that there's always somebody that loves them, and you can't stop loving somebody once you love them. It's really impossible to stop loving somebody, It
would be so much better if it was easier.
It would be.
It's so hard to stop loving somebody, especially when they're going through it. You want to turn off that switch, and you can't.
You can't.
Especially if it's your kid or if it's your partner or if it's your sibling.
Yeah.
And if they're struggling with something, whether it's a substance use disorder or fill in the blank.
And sometimes it takes the person, and because love is reciprocal, it has to be reciprocal, and it takes that person allowing themselves to be loved.
That's right.
And for this song to be able to say all that is miraculous. That's why I love it so much.
And the name of the song is?
You Just Can't Smile It Away.
And if folks are like, wow, how do I find this amazing version? How do they find it, Erin?
Well, it's a part of my most recent release, which is called Your Song Volume 1. It's available on all the streaming services, of course. And, of course, if you want a physical copy of it, you can buy it from my Bandcamp page.
I personally, I also asked you to choose a song for my best friend.
Yes.
Who was turning 40. I couldn't be with her for her birthday because of COVID. Not only was the distance separating us, and that was hard for a big milestone birthday, but she had found out just a couple weeks before I called you that she had a brain tumor.
Yeah.
And I asked you to do a song for her. I gave you a list of artists that she loves, and we ended up choosing a Bob Seger classic. And I have to tell you, I just saw her this past weekend.
Oh, that's wonderful.
She is happy and healthy, most importantly.
That's wonderful.
And she says it's the best present she ever got.
Are you serious? Oh, this is so nice.
Because
to hear.
it's her.
Yeah.
It's her. And it said, I'm good at a lot of things. I'm not that great at expressing my emotions. Yeah. And so it allowed me to tell her everything that she meant to me without me having to really say a single thing.
Yes. Well,
So
and this is what
you.
I have. You're absolutely welcome. And this is what I've loved about this project is that I've found with a lot of people that have asked me to do these songs that it is really difficult to say just exactly what they want to say, and that a song is such a great way to do it because especially with a cover song, there are oftentimes we turn to certain songs to kind of work out our own feelings about things. It's the therapeutic side of it, and to be able to just sort of say, this is a version that's just for you. Here it is. And I don't have to say anything else,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was basically what I did when I presented it to her on Zoom because we did the video too. I was like, okay, so happy birthday.
Yep.
I love you a lot. I hope you know what you mean to me.
Yes.
And here you go. And I pressed play and I was like, okay.
Yeah, and yours was such a special one because we did make the video. I was in the studio with Victor Krause in his studio, and I remember just kind of going through the process and making sure we filmed the right elements of the song to make sure that, she kind of saw how it all came together and everything. And that was really fun for me, too, to document the process, and put it together for her and say hi and happy birthday.
Awesome. How sometimes you're scared of meeting a celebrity because you're scared that they're going to be, kind of an asshole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes that
Very,
happens.
very rarely, of course. But
Of
yes,
course.
sometimes it does. Yeah.
But it does happen. You are not that person. And you're not.
But I'm not really technically I'm not a celebrity.
Well, I don't know. To some people, you're a celebrity. But here's what I can say to you. You are the exact same person on stage as you are off. And I am so incredibly appreciative of you coming here today.
Oh, this was so much fun.
Really. I so appreciate you taking the time and just grateful for you.
Well, this was a very natural and lovely conversation. I didn't think once about the fact that I'm being filmed.
Awesome. If you want to find out more about Erin's new project, if you want to go back into her long catalog of music.
Yes.
And if you'd like more of episodes like these, please consider rating, reviewing, and subscribing to The Preventable. Thank you so much, Erin.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us at The Preventable, brought to you ad-free by Prevent+Ed. Prevent+Ed works to reduce or prevent the harms of alcohol and other drug use through education, intervention, and advocacy. Please visit their website at prevented.org. Like what you heard? Rate, review, and subscribe to stay up to date with what we are serving on The Preventable.